Alright, Blitz kit tier list as of 2022, following the last update. So, I'm going to be ranking these based on two factors. Does it give a good endgame item? And is it useful in more ways than one, rather? So, let's get into things. Starting off, Creeper Tamer. I would say this is a pretty solid kit. Diamond chestplate, stone sword, creeper spawn eggs, and the TNT. This is a very good late game kit, and yeah, it's useful in that it's a good zoning kit, and it gives a good end game item in the chestplate, but not a whole lot else. I don't think it gets a helmet or boots, and the pants are like leather prot 1. So yeah, you're kind of only getting the chestplate and the sword out of this, but still a pretty good kit, and I'm going to put this in B tier. Next is Florist. Florist, it gives a good endgame item in the axe. It's a 6 damage weapon. So, like, there's that, but otherwise it's not really that great. The Thorns armor can catch people off guard, but it's not really that great considering it doesn't have any protection on it. And not to mention it gets a leather chestplate. So the armor and the axe, I'm thinking maybe C tier for Florist. It's not that bad, but it's not really a super good kit either. It's pretty niche, but still does pretty alright. Astronaut. This is another pretty niche kit. It's only good for like jumping on people. Pretty much. It actually gets pretty decent armor, but I mean it's you play this kit for the boots basically. So it's got on a map like Moonbase or Seafloor where you can just jump on people at spawn. But other than that, it's not too great, and you will still have to find pants and chests, which can be a pain. So I'm going to put this one below Florist for lack of an endgame item. But it is useful in that it can be a nice little surprise kit for jumping down on somebody. Rogue is next up, and yeah, I'm gonna be level with you. This kit is not too great. The knockback sword it can be kind of nice, especially with how Hypixel's knockback works, but it's just not too great otherwise. Like, the armor isn't very good. The boots are actually pretty nice. They give it a fair amount of feather falling. And it's like it goes up here if you're playing Calum, but down here if you're not playing Calum. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at D tier. The endgame item in the sword, it's okay, but like the knockback, it can be counterproductive, because you can send somebody flying and you won't be able to catch up to them. It's like it helps people run away from you, which is not a very good thing. Fisherman. This kit's got a big buff in the most recent patch, and I think it's pretty good now. It gets 7 armor bars. You don't have to worry about armor at all. Don't even really have to worry about a weapon either. And you don't obviously have to worry about a rod. So the issue is it's very useful in that you don't really have to rely too much on chests, but the endgame item in the boots is like they're clean boots, so you have to enchant them to get more value off of them, and like Snowman's iron boots, or not Snowman, but Viking's iron boots with Prot 3 are better, and like there are a bunch of kits down here where you can just kill somebody for diamond boots that are better. So I think I'm still going to put Fisherman above Creeper Tamer in B tier. But it's like it's very useful. It gets all its points by cutting down on chest RNG. But that's really about it. Like the end game item is not that great. And I mean, you don't have to worry about food if you're going Fisherman too. So that's another benefit of it. It's sort of like the all-in-one, or rather the jack of all trades, master of none. Because, you get all the armor. The rod itself is actually a pretty good weapon. And then the rod as a secondary is good. And the food. But doesn't really perform too well at endgame. Hype train. Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and put this one in C tier below Astronaut. The armor is very not good. It does get a rod, which is nice, and the clean iron sword is good, but it's not like the stone swords in this game where they're like guaranteed to get sharpness 1 at a level 1 enchant. Iron swords have like maybe a 50% chance to get that. So it's like the end game item is the sword, but there's just always the chance that you're not going to get that slight edge over other people with 6 damage weapons. So it's honestly, for that reason, I'm just going to move it above Rogue in D tier. So that's Hype Train. Moving on to our first A tier kit, we have Ranger. This is also a very good zoning kit. The punch bow is wild. Like, the fact that punch bows exist in this game at all is kind of crazy. And it gets power 1 along with it. So it's like it does damage, it knocks you back. Ranger actually gets pretty good armor too. And it's got 2 endgame items in the punch bow and the diamond boots. But like Fisherman, those diamond boots are clean boots. So it's not going to be the best out there. But yeah, I mean, Ranger, it's pretty solid. Like, you don't want to go against a Ranger in DM, because they will just punch bow you back into the border, and it is no fun. The other armor that Ranger gets is actually pretty nice. All you really have to do is find a helmet, because it gives, I think, a chain chest plate and gold pants, if I'm not mistaken. So, along with the boots, the diamond boots. So, pretty neat. Useful in a lot of ways. And it gives 2 good endgame items. Knight. Oh my. I love this kit, but I have to accept that it's in E tier. The endgame item is, again, the sword at level 10 for an iron sword. But there are no other endgame armor pieces. And it's like, the armor that you get is just slightly better than some of the pieces you find in chests. So, yeah. It does give 3 golden carrots, which serve as food, I suppose. But, yeah, overall, it's it's just sort of like a fighting kit. It's a good early game kit, but that's really about it. So, yeah, 1 endgame item, but not very useful. Meatmaster, this, I'm a little conflicted. I'm going to go ahead and put it in B tier, because it gets 2 very good endgame items. It gets the best helmet in the game at Prot 4 Diamond, and it gets a sword. And you never have to eat. But it only gives you that helmet, a pair of iron boots, and the sword, and some steak, and the pig spawn egg, and the cat spawn eggs, and that's it. Like, it's, yeah, you're gonna want to have to search through a lot of chests to actually get anything out of this kit. But if you do get stuff out of this, or out of chests, this kit can be extremely good. Because, like I said, 6 damage weapon, proc 4 diamond helmet, like, if it, like, the lack of middle pieces is hurting this a lot, because it would be, like, in these top 2 if it got middle pieces of any kind, really. But that is Meatmaster. Moving on to Donkey Tamer. This kit, it's very RNG. At max, the RNG is a lot better, but man, I don't know. It's like you can get good stuff out of the donkey's chest, and the donkey itself is actually kind of a nice mount, but it does die very quickly, like in 2 to 3 hits. So yeah, it's pretty easy to lose, and it doesn't really give any good endgame items. Like, it can give the iron sword, but it can't give any diamond armor. And that honestly hurts it a lot. That keeps it out of the higher tiers. So it's useful in a couple different ways, but no endgame items unless you find one in the chest. So this, like, it fluctuates. It's like if you get good loot, it's up here, maybe at the back of S tier, over here somewhere. But if you don't get good loot, it's like around here. So we're going to put it in the middle. Scout. This kit is hard slept on. I mean, like, speed 2 for 20 seconds is pretty crazy. But it's a lot like Meatmaster in that you need to have good chest loot, but it's not like Meatmaster in like with the fact that it doesn't give any endgame items unless you want to count the speed as an endgame item. So, but yeah, I mean, full leather, like, it's not good. If you play Scout, you're only playing it for the speed pots. So, I mean, people like to put it in D or E tier, but I'm just going to have this hard set at the back of C tier, just because speed is that good right now. And not to mention the regen pots are pretty nice with it. So, it's just, I have mixed feelings about it. It's like, if you get good chest loot, it has, I guess you could say, like, Scout has the highest ceiling so far, but the lowest floor, just because, you know, full leather, no weapon, it's not that great. But the speed pots are good if you do find a weapon and secondaries and all that. Baker is up next, and this gives an iron sword, but the armor is very not good. And the gapple is nice, the bread is nice, but it's like here maybe. And the resistance pots, they're helpful, but they just don't do enough. It's only a minus 20% reduction in damage. So yeah, full leather, iron boots, iron sword, not too great. And you would have to find, like, a lot of stuff, and it's like, the gimmick that it has in the resistance is not that great compared to Scout's gimmick, which is one of the best in the game, which is why it's here and Scout's in C. So there's that. Next up is Slimy Slime, and let me tell you, Slimy Slime is a very good range damage counter. It gives a very good iron helmet and boots, both having prot 4, and it gives a 6 damage weapon, so already that is 3 endgame items, depending on how you want to look at it. The axe does have knockback on it, so it has sort of the same issue as Rogue, which is going to keep it down a little bit, but otherwise it's going to go in A, just because it's such a good counter kit. its middle pieces are not good at all, but it's like if you know somebody's playing Archer, you just have to run this kit, and yeah, you'll be fine, pretty much. All right, Golem. Yeah, this this kit is not very good at all. It's like it just gets outclassed by all the other healing classes. Because I mean, it just gets the Prot 1 chain chestplate and boots, and iron boots outclass Prot 1 chain. And then an iron chestplate outclasses Prot 1 chain chestplate as well. So, yeah, the armor is not good. The axe can be considered an endgame weapon because it is sharp 1 iron, which is not bad at all. It's 6.25, but that's really about the only thing that you're going to be using at the end of the game. Like, you're not going to want to have your kit chestplate and boots at the end. Being able to refill your gapple absorption with the potions is very good, but it's just like, it's 2 hearts. And yeah, it's just not that great. Stuff like Paladin does it way better, so there's that. Next on the list, we have Troll, and let me tell you, the goddamn witch. It's very powerful. It has a lot of health, and the potions it throws, like, it can give you 30 seconds of slowness, which is debilitating, especially in a meta where something like speed is so good. The poison can also really hurt you. And, not to mention, even if you start, like, beating on the witch super hard, let's say you get, like, 4 sword hits on it with a diamond axe, it can just drink its heal pots and be fine. Like, it's a tanky mob that can heal itself. And let's not forget the 2 attack cats that can't be killed. And the snowballs that this kit gets. All in all, I would say this kit is, like, here. Just because it's useful in so many ways, and like the witch is good to the point where I would consider it to be an endgame item. I'm not joking. Like, the witch, it will stay alive throughout the entire game, and you can just play around it, hide behind it, do whatever you want with it, and the other person will just be at such a disadvantage if they get hit with any of the witch's debuffs. So yeah, B tier, middle of where it's at for now. Oh boy, time for my favorite kit, Paladin. So, this was supposed to be nerfed in the update, but it wasn't, so that's why it's up here. Extremely good endgame item in the sword, and the potions are just amazing. Like, if you get low at any point, like, Paladin is the 2 life kit. It could just splash 6 hearts worth of healing, and if you are not in a spot to run away, you are dead. It gives Prot 1 iron helmet and a clean iron chestplate, which is not that great, and it makes it so that the sword is the only endgame item that the kit gets. But I mean, it's just, you can get stacked off of killing somebody with other endgame items that you need. Like, just bring them into a house or whatever, and like, there you go, you just win. So yeah, I mean, the sword, it's iron, so that's already something super good. And of course, I mean, the potions are just like one of the craziest things in the game right now. Being able to regen 6 hearts is just wild. So there's that. That being said, it does have a few drawbacks in that it doesn't get pants or boots. So yeah, like, it's very not good early game. If you're getting chased down as a paladin and you have to use your pots early, that's also very bad. But Paladin really just shines after about a minute after kits, so about 2 minutes into the game, and they can just go on a rampage. If they meet anybody who's a challenge, it's just throw healing pots and win. That's pretty much how it goes. Next up, we have Pigman. Oh boy. It's just not that great. It gives an okay helmet. The sword is the best one out of any kit item in the game, but the crit damage from it being gold is that pulls it back under. So yeah, I mean the instant damage 1-pots, those are okay. You got to be careful not to splash yourself with them, obviously. And the Pigman mob itself, it's it can do damage, but it can't really take that much damage. It dies in a few sword hits. It's not that great of a mob, kind of an overhyped type of thing. So for that reason, I'm putting it in the D tier. Arachnologist. This kit is pretty good. It gives 2 endgame items, but it's just not that good otherwise. It's a lot like Meatmaster actually, except the diamond helmet that this kit gets is only Prot 2 compared to Prot 4. And it gives the diamond pickaxe instead of the iron sword, which, in its own right is pretty good. I don't think there's as many hit detection checks for pickaxes and shovels as there are swords and axes. So this will probably get you better hit reg than this, but otherwise it's an okay kit. I would put it here, maybe top of C for right now, because 2 endgame items, but not super useful outside of just being a more watered down version of Meatmaster, if you will. Next up, we have a Reaper, and in the right hands, it goes up here, without question. In the wrong hands, it only falls down to about here or here. But I mean, it's in one of my recent Blitz videos, I think it was number 24, some guy was trying to come clean me up, and I dropped a Reaper pod on him when I had half a heart left or something, and we got to DM, and half his health was gone. I'm not joking, because I got a direct hit on him. And, the slowness, 4 half heart ticks a second. This, a direct hit on somebody with one of the potions that this kit gives, it's the other person loses. They can legitimately be full diamond, and you can have, I don't know, max Blitz armor with a clean stone sword. If you hit that full diamond player with a Reaper potion, you will probably still win the fight, just because if you trade, the Wither Tick is going to take them down super hard. They're not going to be able to catch up to you if you try and back off for a second because of the slowness. And I mean, it just does so much true damage. That is... These potions were a problem. I'm pretty sure they were also supposed to be nerfed in the update, and then the devs just forgot. So, that's wild to me. But yeah, that being said, you do still have to hit the pots in order to make the best use of them. And this can be tougher than you would expect. But it's very good when you're climbing a mountain and you want to just surprise them. So, yeah. I'm gonna leave it an S just because, in the right hands, and all of these kits are, in the right hands, of course. But yeah, in the right hands, a Reaper can kill just about anybody in the game, except like maybe a paladin who splashes all their pots. But of course, Reaper 10s get 3 of their crazy pots, so there's that. Alright, Guardian. This kit, it's kind of in a weird spot. The Potion of Health Boost is actually pretty good. It gives you an extra 2 hearts for the whole game, unless you get milk potted. And milk pots being in chests, that's good luck with that. The heal pots are very, very, very good, but you do have to drink them. So they're just like good in a bow fight, pretty much. Because they'll heal you for 4. So it's like in a DM bow fight. If you're Guardian with a power 1 bow and you're shooting at an archer who obviously has power 2, you can win just being able to out heal them. The main pitfall of this kit is that it doesn't get a good endgame item outside of those pots. If you even want to consider the heal 2 pots an endgame item, because they're drinkable. You can't splash them like Paladin can. And it only gets an Iron Axe. So, useful in a couple of ways, but no endgame items. So, that's going to put it, honestly, back here. Because, it's alright. And in certain situations, it's like pretty solid, but otherwise, yeah, because it's like it's just a better golem, pretty much, is how it's working, because of the Iron Axe and all that. Next up, we have Viking, and this kit is very underrated. It gets a Prot 3 Iron Helmet and Boots, and a Diamond Axe, so that is 3 endgame items, just off rip. It doesn't really get a whole lot of anything else. Viking is just kind of in a weird place, because it's like, it's another one of those with a low floor and a high ceiling. Because if you get middle pieces, secondaries and all that, you're good. But if you don't, and it's like still early game, for example, and you're getting chased down, and you pull out Viking, it's not that great. But yeah, the boat is a nice touch. You can get away from somebody on the water if you need to. So that's pretty cool. But it's like, it just gives you a bunch of good items and isn't useful at all otherwise. So, yeah, I'm honestly going to put it in C tier. It's like, Viking has a lot of potential. If it got food or whatever, so you didn't have to find any of that in chests and didn't have to worry about that, I would put it up here. Like somewhere in B tier, just because 6 damage weapon, Prot 3 Iron Helmet, and Boots. But bad middle pieces, no other utility. Yeah, C tier. Red Dragon. This kit is honestly one of my favorites, one of the most versatile. The Flint and Steel is good in any situation, unless you're against the Blaze, of course. But I mean, otherwise, it's a good fire countering kit, so it can counter Blaze and Phoenix. It does get a good endgame item in the helmet, even though it is fire prot. So it's probably the worst endgame item out of any of these, but it is still a diamond helmet. And it gets a chain chestplate and iron boots just out of the kit, and a stone sword. So I don't know, man. Red Dragon, it's nice, but it's another one of those that just has a lot of potential. So, I mean, yeah, it's high ceiling, low floor as well. Because it's like the flint and steel as a secondary is just so good. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put it. This is tough because like I could put it here, but that doesn't quite feel right. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it above Viking at the top of seats here for now. Blaze, oh boy. I actually have this kit maxed, and for good reason. I mean, it's hard for people to run from me, and you know, being immune to fire, that's going to really help against this and this. So, yeah. Good sword. The chest plate is a hard counter to all fire just in the game. And I mean, the axe can also be considered to be like an endgame weapon just because it lights people on fire, so they can't run. So Blaze is like, if you want to pressure somebody, Blaze is the kit to use, just because good weapon, good fire weapon, and the blazes that you can spawn can act as like a Navy SEAL team from time to time. Like they can be pretty good. The only downside of Blaze, and really the only thing keeping it out of the S tier as of right now, is its lack of other armor. It gets a leather helmet, pants, and boots. They each give fire prot, but you already have fire prot 10 on the chest plate, so kind of pointless. But yeah, it's like Blaze. That's the armor is really its only pitfall, and that can be solved with just like finding chests. Like, it is what it is. So yeah, Blaze, useful in a bunch of different ways, and it gives a couple good endgame items and a hard counter to any fire weapon in the game. So that's an easy A tier placement. Ranger is probably going to stay on the top of A tier if I don't move it to the bottom of S, just because of the punch bow. But yeah, Wolf Tamer. Oh boy. So this kit, I've got mixed feelings about it because it does give the Prot 4 diamond boots, and the wolves are pretty solid. But it doesn't really give much other good armor. And it gives an iron axe as the weapon. And, you know, rotten flesh is food, which is not going to help you, but it'll help your dogs, but that's about it. So, it's like, if you play this kit, you're basically just a Prot 4 Diamond Boots care package. Like, you don't see a lot of this kit being played for good reason. So, I mean, it's like, it's one good endgame item piece is the best pair of boots in the game. But just because of everything else, like, I'm probably just going to give it middle of C for right now. Just because, I mean, it's like, the wolves are great and all, but, yeah, it's just sort of not great outside of the boots and the wolves. So, Next on the agenda is Farmer, and yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna put this below Blaze and above Slimy Slime, because guaranteed projectiles, that's always nice. Having the chicken eggs can really help pressure somebody. Like, you can easily knock somebody into a wall from further away than you could with a rod. So yeah, infinite eggs, of course. The iron pants are another area where the kit shines. Like, I would even call that an in-game item, just because you can't find iron pants in chests. And the sword, iron sword, that too. So yeah, it's another one of those that's very useful, Has a couple good endgame items. But the drawback, if you spawn the chickens, yeah, like you just everybody in the game is gonna have multiple stacks of eggs, and in deathmatch especially, that can be a problem if everybody's just egging each other until like the border closes in, and it's like that's where the strategy can kind of fall apart. And not to mention, it doesn't get a good helmet or chest plate, so there's that. If a farmer kills a paladin, or vice versa, that's full iron, which is kind of crazy considering the prevalence of these two kits currently. But yeah, farmer, it's just gonna stay in A because it's like the main drawback can lose them the game. Because there have been multiple times where I have been unable to find a rod in the chest, and there's some farmer rolling through in DM, and I just pick up the eggs, and that's how I'm able to kill him. So that is wild. Next on the list, we have the warrior kit, and it's like it doesn't get a good helmet or pant, or it doesn't even get a helmet or pants, period. The Sharp One Stone Sword is a good endgame item, but that's about where it ends. Like, the pots are okay, and like not having to worry about food is nice, but it's just like not that great outside of the iron chestplate, boots, and the Sharp One Stone Sword. I'm going to go ahead and put this top of B just because it's pretty reliable, but you will need to have good chest loot and find secondaries to make the most of this. So, there you have it. Arachnologist. This kit is actually pretty good. The spiders can be super annoying. It gives good armor with the exception of the chest plate, but it doesn't give any diamond armor. So the only endgame item that it gets is going to be the iron sword. But that being said, it is still pretty useful. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one under Meatmaster and above Troll. Just because it's like this kit is pretty reliable, but doesn't exactly reach the super high highs that the Meatmaster kit can, because it's like brought 4 diamond helmet, kind of hard to argue with. So yeah, that's gonna put Arachnologist down here in B. Necromancer got nerfed pretty hard in the update, and it's no longer the archer counter. The mobs are still annoying, but I mean that's really as far as it goes, man. I'm like, yeah, reliable armor at least, but no endgame items at all whatsoever, and it's not really useful outside of being able to spawn mobs and use a punch bow. So yeah. D tier. The punch bow can be kind of useful in deathmatch, but it doesn't have any power on it, so you'll be relying entirely on border bouncing people. Hunter, this is honestly a very underrated kit as well. Splash speed 2 pots are crazy. It gets good middle pieces. Unfortunately, you can't enchant them, but you can always just get other middle pieces from chests. It gives a stone sword, power wind bow, and a fair amount of arrows. This is kind of just another all-in-one, so that's kind of wild with it. So for that reason, I'm going to put it mid or upper mid of B. So yeah, it's like no real endgame items necessarily, but the gimmicks are still very good. It's like if Scout was just better. It's like Hunter is the improved scout, except without the regen pots, pretty much. That's the only thing that it's lacking. Phoenix. This kit is very overrated. The flame bow only has about 11 uses. So, make of that what you will. It's like you can't full bow somebody with a Phoenix bow. It's good to chase people down, but if anybody's playing Blaze of Red Dragon, good luck with that. It gives bad armor and a bad sword. The Prot 4 gold boots are pretty okay, but as soon as you get Prot 2 iron or higher from anywhere, they're useless. So yeah. No endgame items, and its only gimmick is just not really that great. You can just jump in water. So, jumping in water is usually not advisable, but it'll still nullify their gimmick entirely. So, yeah. I'm literally just going to put this in E above Knight, because it's the only thing it has above Knight is the gimmick. That's about it. So, hard counters exist to this kit, and it's once your flame bow breaks, you're kind of just done. So, yeah, your kit has no use anymore. Shadow Knight. This is another kit where it's in the right hands, it's debilitating. So yeah. It gets decent armor from what I remember, and blindness is just wild. It's gonna be, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in A right about here, just because it only gives the blindness, which runs out quick. But while somebody is blind, they basically can't fight back. So, yeah. The fact that the blindness pots don't do damage is what's keeping it below Reaper and out of S tier, but otherwise, yeah. It's good endgame item in the sword, and the gimmick being the blindness. It's yeah, if you land a blindness pot on somebody, they're dead. Warlock. Now, this kit is typically placed up here, and that is for good reason. Diamond chestplate, iron boots, if I recall correctly, a stone sword, leather helmet and pants. That's all well and good. 6.5 armor bars straight out the gate is nearly on par with Fisherman. So, there's that. But the other thing is that Warlock gets these strength and slowness splash potions. The slowness obviously is not good, but if you kill somebody and then you splash your strength pot, and you're using the speed kill effect, it's the slowness doesn't even exist. And you're just running at somebody with speed 1. So you can still catch up to somebody, and you have strength 1 on. This kit is perfect for dropping people. And, even if you don't have speed, just get somebody in a corner and they die. That's pretty much how it goes. And, don't even get me started on the fact that it gets a diamond chestplate, because that's wild to me. It's one of 2 kits that does, and the fact that the gimmick being literal strength, this kit deserves to be an S. Next up, we have Snowman, and this kit I'm just going to go ahead and put here, because it gives a very good helmet, Prot 3 iron, 6 damage weapon, carrots for food, which aren't horrible, but, and it gives 48 snowballs, which is wild. So, yeah, it's another spammy projectile kit, and let's not forget the mini turrets that you can spawn. The snow golems that you can spawn, they shoot fast. They they're just that good. So, yeah, this is another kit that I would highly recommend getting, but it is kept out of S because it doesn't get good middle pieces. So, helmet's good. Boots are, Project Bot 2. Those are okay. And obviously the weapon and secondaries and the mini turrets are really good. That's what gets it this high. But it's kept from being a perfect kit because of its armor. That being said, a Snowman that does find good middle pieces is pretty tough to deal with. So, yeah. Good luck against them. Moving on to Horse Tamer. This kit, it does give 2 good endgame items in the axe and the boots. But it falls short on the rest of its armor and doesn't really give much else. The horse is obviously very good, but I just wouldn't say it's enough to bring it up to A tier. Because you can kill the horse if somebody leaves it unguarded. It's over. And yeah, I mean, it's like Horse Tamer used to be, I think, like the best kit in the game, but now it's like full leather with the exception of the Prachi Diamond boots and a diamond axe without really much of a gimmick other than the horse, which can be killed. Yeah. So I'm just gonna go ahead and leave this in B. It shouldn't be slept on, of course, but it still lacks some of the things that give the S and A tier kits their status. So next up we have Toxicologist, which gives pretty solid armor and poison 2 pots, which basically just makes it like a diet reaper. So yeah, and it gives the stone sword, the clean stone sword. So I mean, it's like kind of good, but like the poison pots are the gimmick, and they just are nowhere near Reaper pots or Shadow Knight pots. So, the armor and the rest of that stuff is still going to get it into B tier. But I mean, that's really about it for your Toxicologist. Alright, so next on the list we have Jockey, and this kit does get pretty good middle pieces and hard counters Necromancer, and it gives a good sword, but it's just not that great otherwise. The jockeys that you can spawn aren't too great. I mean, like, they're spider jockeys or chicken jockeys, and they can kind of put in work, but that's about it. And it just doesn't really have too much else going for it. So, because the hard counters Necro, I'm going to put it above Necro, but that's about as far as it's going to go. Next on the list we have Diver, and I would say this is probably the most balanced kit in the game, just because it only gives like 1 endgame item in the boots. And this is very good on water maps, so it's sort of map specific when this kit really shines. And the clean stone sword, that's something. It doesn't really give good middle pieces either. So, I mean, yeah, it's just sort of like the gimmick is very good on certain maps. But otherwise, it's not too great. But I would still say it's worthy of B tier. So yeah, I would say putting it there serves its purpose, and I'm actually going to move Fisherman above Horse Tamer as well. So next on the list we have Tim, and yeah, I mean, it's like, obviously it's good because you get the diamond pants, and all that XP, but you get like the diamond pants, and then I think leather chestplate and boots, and a stone sword, and then an unkillable rabbit, which doesn't really attack anybody, so that's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty niche, and the diamond piece that you do get is obviously good. But it's just like it paints a massive target on your back because most of the kits on here give diamond helmets or boots. So if one of them sees somebody with diamond pants running around, they're just gonna laser focus you if you're playing Tim, and that will be the end of you, because it's like if they're already not stacked enough with max Blitz and like a diamond helmet, they will want the diamond pants. Also, you are a target to these people because you can't find iron pants and chests, as I mentioned earlier when I was talking about farmer. So an upgrade from chain to diamond is a full armor bar. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. And killing you will probably give them the levels they need to enchant their other stuff. So it's like, it's alright, but just because of like, you paint the target on your back when you choose this kit. So that's what's going to keep this in D tier. Alright. So for Armorer, it's obviously extremely good for like armor, of course, but that's really as far as it goes. It doesn't really give too many endgame armor pieces. I think like the pants might outclass chain, but that's about it. And it doesn't really give you anything else. So armor, it's like it's a surprise to anybody thinking they'll be able to kill you because you're in leather, but otherwise I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the C tier because yeah, it gives you super good armor, but there are just other pieces in the game that outclass yours, like diver boots, warlock chestplate, and something like a speleologist helmet. So that will be what keeps armor in the C tier. So next up is my personal favorite, the archer kit, and yeah, without question, this is S tier. As to whether or not this gets above Paladin depends on who's using it. Because if the person knows how to bow, then you're screwed. Because power 2, obviously. It gives 2 good endgame items in the bow and the helmet. But it doesn't really give good armor otherwise. And it doesn't give a weapon, or a melee weapon either. So that is what's given me doubts about putting it above Paladin. So yeah, it's like all of these kits are very killable, of course, but it's like once they get stacked enough, you are dead. That's pretty much how it goes. So yeah, I mean power 2 and 48 arrows. Like, tell me that's not wild to you. Because, I mean, it's like the highest damaging weapon in the game. Not the highest DPS, of course, but range damage, it's like, you don't even need a melee weapon in the early game to just bow somebody down completely all the way. So, there is that. Milkman, F tier. You can literally find milk pots in chests, and yeah, it's just an abysmal kit. I mean, Prot 4 leather helmet, you know, it's It's kind of okay. It outclasses iron clean, but that's really about it. It is an extremely good counter to Reaper, and like Shadow Knight and Toxicologist, but yeah, it's just not great. I mean, it gets an Iron Axe for the weapon at level 10, so it's just not worth. I mean, if milk pots were gone from chests, then maybe it would rise up a little bit, but for now, it is undoubtedly the worst kit in the game. Shark only gets a tiny bit above it, because it's like budget diver. I mean, I guess you never have to eat, which is nice, but if you, like, even if you land a direct hit with a hunger pot, people can just like eat a couple pieces of food and it's like you never happened to throw it or whatever. So there's that, and like the respiration level kind of gives the water a white tint. I remember in I think my 8th Blitz video, I got a shark helmet, and yeah, like I just could barely see underwater. So yeah, that's how shark is. And I mean, yeah, not having to ever eat is nice, but it's just not great. And then last on the list we have Rambo, which is obviously the best kit in the game. So no questions asked there. The flower pot's random, so we don't need to worry about that. And this is my complete tier list. Yeah, let me know what y'all think. Let me know what opinions are wrong, knowing this community. So, yep, that is going to wrap up the video, and I'll see you tomorrow for Blitz number 30.